Hey, what's up, everyone? It is the Enforcer, and we are back with the new stream. If you're from the last one, welcome back. Right now, I've changed the topic of the stream and everything because we have to talk about what is going on in Ukraine because at the moment they are being invaded. And so, if you're here for the first time, I will recap a little bit as to what I know is going on. And if you have any questions, comments, or want to have a discussion about anything, just let me know in the chat. Let me go hop over to the chat real quick so that way I can get on that and make sure that I can see what y'all are saying. And also, let me go make sure that I do something else real quick while I'm looking at it. We're going to make that one private. It'll probably get removed soon. Because this stream is going to be the one that goes all night. Who cares about the 100 subs? We are here to talk entirely about what's going on over there because that's wild. All right, so at the moment, well, we'll start at the beginning. Ukraine was wanting to join NATO a few months ago. They were expressing wishes to do that, and the Russians got concerned, and so the Russians built up forces along the border. In doing so, they started to alarm the Ukrainians and the rest of the world that Russia was just going to straight up invade Ukraine right away. But the Russians said, we're not going to invade. We're just doing this as a show of force. And so everyone was on the mindset, well, at least I was on the mindset of they would go into diplomatic talks, and all this was just nothing more than a show to get to those diplomatic talks and have some leverage. So the forces kept building up. The news kept saying the invasion was going to happen any day. It was going to be the day after tomorrow. For weeks and months on end, I started to lose faith in the news that it would happen because it wasn't happening. And they just kept on saying that stuff daily. And so just a day ago, the Russians declared the independence of Donetsk and Luhansk, which are the rebel republics within Ukraine that Ukraine claims to control, but they don't really control. Because, you know, after they declared the independence of these two little republics, the Russians just rolled through, and without a shot fired, they just moved into this area of Ukraine. So, to me, that suggests that the Ukrainians didn't really actually control that land. So, regardless whether that was considered the invasion or not, is up for grabs. But the invasion of Ukraine proper has happened right now, so that is definitely an invasion of Ukraine. There's no way to look at it rather than it's an invasion, because so far there's been explosions. In the previous stream, I am supposing, because it just makes the most sense, that those were some kind of cruise missiles, because bombs from an aircraft would not make much sense, and most modern warfare revolves around remote ordnance. So, oh, nice, that was a good shot. So it was most likely a cruise missile, from what I think. Cruise missiles. They probably already hit the military facilities that the Ukrainian military uses to operate. They probably already tried to hit airfields and knock out aircraft in advance before they move along. And the Russians look like they'll probably try and repeat what happened in Iraq in 2003 with the Americans invading there. And that's that they're going to hit strategic sites with missiles, bombs, and whatnot, and then they're going to move in the army to clean up whatever's left, and there won't be much left in the first place. What we got over there? Got a T something. That was a miss. But we are capping the point at the moment, which is a good thing. See what we got over the edge. Looks like most everything's dead, except for something over there. We also got some guy over there somewhere, but I can't see him. I wonder where these shots are coming from. I can't really seem to figure out where. while I'm trying to figure out where those shots are coming from, I'm going to check the chat real quick. Real quick. Are you actually going to talk about Russia or Ukraine, or was that just clickbait? Oh, I've been talking about it. I mean, like, I think you just joined in late, but I was actually discussing, I actually said everything that was going on over there at the moment, man, so I think you just got in here a little late, is all. But, I mean, like, since I already kind of covered all the bases, what would you like me to talk about? Because I could talk about, generally anything I know on everything about it, so if you have any particular questions, I could try and answer those. Now, it's not really clickbaity. I'm not really trying to clickbait. I started off the stream talking about it, so if you have a question, just let me know and I'll try and answer it. But as of the moment, that's a good shot right there. The Russians are invading Ukraine. There's been explosions confirmed across multiple cities, most likely trying to hit some kind of strategic sites because they say that there were explosions around the Kiev airport, which would suggest that was from there. That suggests to me that they were trying to hit military aircraft, most likely, because modern warfare is a very accurate thing. And so if they're hitting anything at an airport, it's most likely something related to the Ukrainian Air Force, as far as I know. But I don't know if there's any air wings active at the Kiev International Airport. That I do not know, because I'm not really into the military structure of Ukraine all that much. I looked into it a bit about a year ago for the Russians, but as far as the Ukrainians go, I don't know how their military works. I'm assuming that it's probably based off of a post-Soviet model a lot, you know, like with the armored warfare, the armored waves, all that sort of stuff. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's War Thunder, because, you know, I don't really have much else to add. I could pull up a map, though, on Google Maps and just, like, draw on it with Microsoft Paint, and talk about what I think is happening, and the information we've got so far. In fact, I might just do that right now after this, battle, ends. But, what else? What else could I say? Oh, man, I'm at a loss for words now. But the Ukrainians, I don't really know what's going to happen with them. I don't know how long this war is going to end, or how it's going to last. Maybe it'll last for a couple of weeks. Hopefully it won't last for a couple of days. Hopefully the Ukrainians can actually hold out a decent period, because if they can't, they'll be kind of sad. I should watch out saying that on War Thunder because they're a Russian company. Let's see, what we got? Where are they? Can't see them. We'll see if they're at their spawn. I just want anyone to know that's new, that just joined, that as of the moment, the Russians have invaded Ukraine about an hour or two ago, and there have been explosions confirmed in multiple cities across the country. In light of someone in the comments, Norcane, shout out to him, he thought this was clickbait because I was playing War Thunder. I don't want anyone to think it's clickbait, so here in a second I'm going to flip over to Google Maps and some other stuff, and I'm going to talk about in detail what's known at the moment and what I think is probably going to happen military-wise during the rest of this conflict, the war. I'm going to call it a war because it's not an armed intervention or anything like that. It's just a straight-up war, and they're trying to use fancy words to make it sound like something else, but it's a war. Oh, we got a tank right there. Missile away. Hopefully that's a nice solid hit. Yep, that's a good hit.
Thank you.
And we won. Alright. I'm going to go to display capture, and I'm going to talk about what I know so far. And it's not a lot, so don't... well, it's a decent bit, but it's not, like, loads. So don't expect me to sound like, you know, someone from the Department of Defense, like Mark Milley or anything. I'm not going to be that knowledgeable on the situation, but I will be at least somewhat knowledgeable. Actually, here's if this is from Norcane, here's a question: how do you say "so cool" when dying in War Thunder with how it currently plays It boils my blood dying to the riskiest BVM or KA50. Oh, I mean, I stay cool because it's just a game. I mean, I don't really put much into games. And anyways, I just play it to enjoy it. Hey, look, you get to see this, and you'll get to see how I respond to you. I'm actually watching my own video just to be able to respond to you. But let's go pull up Google Maps. Hopefully, y'all can see this. Yeah, y'all can see this. Yeah. All right. So, oh, that shows where I live. Let's not look at that. All right. So let's go to Ukraine. All right. So this is Ukraine, of course. I mean, obviously. These areas down here, and I might be able to pull up some maps to support what I'm saying. This area is Donetsk and Luhansk. And if you look at it in the large picture of Ukraine, if I outlined an area with my mouse about right here, that's what Donetsk and Luhansk were kind of reduced to. And the little I call it kind of like a civil war that happened in 2014, although it was kind of rushing back, so I don't know what you want to call it, but I'll call it a civil war. That's the area that was controlled by the two little rebel republics, and the Russians pushed into these rebel republics just about yesterday, about 24 hours ago. Hardly any shots were fired, as far as I know. I know that on the same day, 2 armored personnel carriers were destroyed, and a couple of men from the Soviet military were killed. Oh, I'm sorry, not Soviet. Oh my God, what am I talking about? A couple of guys from the Ukrainian army were killed, and I'm not sure if that was there, because I'm just saying it'd be weird if they were killed in Donetsk and Luhansk, because the Ukrainian army actually surrounds them, and they've kind of been besieging them for a couple of years. So I don't know how they would have been killed in there. I'm assuming that they may have been killed somewhere around the area, but not like directly opposing the Russians. The Russians moved into this area overnight. For us in America, over there it was like in the middle of the day, I believe. And then tonight, just an hour ago, some missiles were fired, cruise missiles, I'm assuming. That may be wrong. It may have been bombers. They were fired at major Ukrainian cities like Kiev. I believe Kharkiv was also one of the other ones. Dnipro, and a whole bunch of other ones. I don't know if Odessa was hit. Odessa is one of the major port cities of Ukraine that still exists now that Sevastopol was controlled by the Russians. So I'm not really sure about that part. But if we look at the Ukrainian border and the Ukrainian-Russian border, it shares a very large area with Russians. Most of its border on the eastern side is pretty much all in Russia. There's a bit up here in the north that is controlled by Belarus because it's bordering Belarus. And what they've been saying, and I don't know if this is happening, I don't have any information on this at the moment, but considering that all the information that's been said by the news has now become true at this point, there may be Russian forces coming from Belarus up here south into Ukraine, and that would be the Russians' fastest option to get to Kiev. Kiev is only like 50 miles from the Belarusian border at the closest, but they're around 200 to 300 miles from the Russian border if they were to just use Russia alone. They would have to pass through Chernobyl and Pripyat, which is really interesting to me, and they'd also have to maybe combat a little bit of radiological issues. So I don't know. I mean, like, it's like, would they even fight? I mean, there was a picture that came out. It was said that they were in, like, the Ukrainians were in Pripyat proper with, I believe it was a mechanized infantry battalion. But I don't know if they'd actually fight in there. I believe both sides would generally try and keep soldiers out of there, and it would kind of be an exclusion zone. But in war, you can never make that kind of chance, because what if you left that area open and then the Russians exploited it, or the Russians didn't exploit it and then the Ukrainians just pushed through it, although it'd be a severe health risk for their soldiers. That I don't know. At the moment, let's find the Kiev airport. Kiev airport. Okay, so we've got a couple. Let's put this on satellite view. So we have one here. I know this must be the most important area. Yes, I believe I may be correct in what I said earlier. Maybe. I mean, it kind of looks... There's a military museum here. And if there's a military museum, these look like Ukrainian military transports here that are actually usable. I'm not sure if those are for the Ukrainian military, but it looks a lot like it, doesn't it? Let me check the comments real quick. Radiation in the zone isn't too bad. Probably not, really. I mean, like, obviously, if they're running tourist excursions in there, it can't be that bad. But what I'm saying, though, is that they might be trying to mitigate the risk of exposure. Well, the military's never given a shit about soldiers anyways in any country in the world, so they'll probably just push right through there. I bet you the sarcophagus will get hit by a artillery shell, and then that'll be a whole problem for the world all over, and they'll be trying to fix that in the middle of the war, or they'll just leave it alone and it'll become a major issue. But regardless, back down to here, if a cruise missile hit, I'm assuming it probably hit somewhere over here, and it probably hit where the military aircraft appear, because there's looks like an Mi-4 right there, and there's also maybe an Mi-20, that looks more like an Mi-8, and there's some military aircraft here. They're painted in gray. It looks like they have Ukrainian Air Force roundels on them, you know, the green and the blue. So I'm guessing that it would have probably hit around here, because this looks like where the military stores aircraft in Ukraine. If we can find a power plant, I would also assume that they probably hit power plants, because those are critical infrastructure. I mean, like, if I was a military commander, I don't know if this is a viable strategy, but I'd also be trying to hit all the bridges. Not that that would help me, but that would hurt them more at the moment, because then they'd have to figure out a way to try and reinforce front lines across this Dnep River that goes through the whole country from one side to the other, from up here to down here. This thing is a massive obstacle, and in some areas it's just huge. It looks like it's pretty damn wide. I mean, it's wider than the Mississippi in most parts, and so you'd have to try and figure out how to get a military across the shallower and narrower parts, like here in Dnipro, and that would be a challenge for them. You could generally, if you knocked out all the bridges, you could generally push the whole entire Ukrainian army to that river, and there would be no reinforcements coming from the other side. And if there were, it'd be a very small amount, because they'd be trying to figure out how to construct bridges to cross this, and that would take time. And so maybe they're hitting bridges at the moment. News isn't so forthcoming because it's happening at the moment. Sadly, history is only good to look at when you're looking at it in reverse. You can't ever just get all that information right at the moment, and it's so sad, because if we could, that would mean a lot. You know, at least it'd help me talk about what's going on over there. But yes, I do believe that if the Russians are launching a full invasion, and they are, the Ukrainians are going to have a rough time. I very much hope, that they will have a good chance of holding them off for a while, at least long enough for some sort of negotiation or diplomatic settlement to be reached, so that way they don't just get absolutely steamrolled, and then they're left with no option but some kind of unconditional surrender to the Russians, which leaves the nation disarmed and very much a puppet of the Russians. Because if it's going to be disarmed, you know they're replacing the government as well. Let's see. Yeah, I doubt it. Not really any target there. I don't think civilization itself is being targeted. I think what you said, not really any target there, is in reference to me saying they probably hit that little tarmac, the pads near the tarmac. And what I'm saying is that they probably aren't targeting civilization, but there is a video out there at the moment that there was a missile that went off somewhere around the Kiev airport, or on it. And what I'm assuming is that since modern warfare revolves around pinpoint accuracy, if anything would have been hit, it would have been some kind of military target. And from what I can see from this aerial picture, the only military target at this airport would be on this tarmac right here in the picture. So I'm just saying, if a missile would have hit, I'm guessing it hit there. Also, civil aviation plant 410. I don't know what that produces. Maybe they hit that. I don't know. But they're definitely not targeting civilization. No, they're probably not. Military targets. Yes, they're targeting military targets for sure. But one thing I do have to say is that military targets do extend, to a degree, to civilian targets, as long as it's not going to be like casualty inducing in like the hundreds of the thousands, like a bridge. Bridges, that's a pretty traveled bridge. But if you blow up a bridge, you're going to be hindering the military side, the logistical side of things a lot. Like, let's just say the whole Ukrainian army is across this river already. We know that all the bases in Ukraine are not going to be in the eastern area. There's probably going to be a decent amount of them over here with the supplies, tools to keep war going. You know, like if tanks need parts, not all these parts are going to be over here. They're going to be over there, and you're going to have to figure out how to transport them over there. And the Ukrainians are going to start running into logistical issues if all these bridges were knocked out, because they have to figure out how to get ground convoys across these rivers without many bridges. If they have some bridges that do exist, then they'll have massive traffic jams on them, and they'll have to try and get into sorting out traffic, and that'll slow down how much supplies can get over there. But the other thing is that they can't just say in Ukraine, oh, let's just fly it over with a plane, because they hardly have any transport planes in their Air Force, I believe. We'll try and look at the numbers that are on Wikipedia, which is all I have to go with. Ukrainian Air Force equipment, planes. We'll go with the planes, and we'll see what they have. All right, so scrolling down here, we could find that they have some stuff. Oh, look at this. Look at this. We've got a little map right here on here that tells us where everything is. And now it doesn't. Shit. It looks like there's a lot of stuff. There's the 138th Radar. There's the 40th Air Wing, I'm assuming. And it's the MiG-29s. You have the AA Brigade, the Anti-Air Brigade, at 15th Transport. So you have some transports stationed there. The 15th Transport, the 456th Transport, and the 25th Transport are the only transport groups in the whole country. And we can assume that if there's one there, we can find that on the map. That's not at this airport. This one right here, it looks like it was somewhere up here. So let's see if we can find an airport in this area. I gotta say, man, Ukraine from the air looks kind of rough. I mean, like, they're not a rich country. Most post-Soviet countries are not the wealthiest on Earth. But it does look kind of rough. I can't find one, so we'll give up on that for now. But it says that there's a 15th Transport air wing somewhere up here. Maybe here. Maybe it's at this airport. Let's check. Let's take a look at this one. Maybe this is what they meant by Ukrainian airport, because I feel like if there's going to be military installation, there'd probably be one around here somewhere. No, this almost looks like it's entirely civilian. Yeah. I mean, like, maybe... Well, no. I mean, like, these look like little, spots for military aircraft. Okay, look. This is what I'm saying. Look, here's more of these transport-looking aircraft. They have some Tupolevs there. I don't know if they have Tupolevs as transports. We can check. Transports. They have 22... Yep, that's exactly what we're looking at, are Antonov 26s. So they had some at the international airport, and they have some out here at this much larger Boryspil International Airport. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, and you know how to say that better. I'm sorry, because I don't speak a lot of Russian. I'm assuming that's probably Ukrainian, but Ukrainian and Russian are very similar languages. I believe they have like similar pronunciation rules as well. Let's see, what else? What else do we have? So maybe when they said they hit air targets, they were hitting the transport wing out here at this airport that's right outside of Ukraine, and they're trying to knock out their logistical abilities. Because it doesn't really matter if you knock out their fighting abilities, because if they don't have any ammunition to feed the guns, and they don't have any food to feed the soldiers, you know, like having fighter aircraft and rifles and soldiers doesn't really matter because they don't have anything to fight with. And that's kind of where I'm getting at with this is they're going to be in kind of a tough situation. Let's see if we can find anything on YouTube about this. Hey, look at that. I'm trending. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Here's ABC. Let's check out ABC.
Free music? Discover Epidemic Sound. Get the safest music subscription for content creators.
Taking a great risk.
Former U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine, Bill Taylor, thank you for your time and your insight. All right, with us now is ABC News contributor and retired Colonel Steve Ganyard. Putin just announced that Russia will conduct a military operation in eastern Ukraine. What does that mean, and is this a declaration of war?
It is, Andrew. Now, what that war entails, that's the big question, and that's what we're having to piece together in these minutes as the opening salvos are fired. Just reading a report from our person on the ground in Moscow, something very interesting, and let's think about what Mr. Putin might be doing. So if we look at the map here, we know that Ukrainian intelligence today talked about the...
You know, I just have to note, I like how everyone's called Putin Putin until this war has happened, and now they're going to start calling him Mr. Putin. I guess causing international scandal and in the process maybe killing thousands of people earns you the title of Mr. I don't know. What do y'all think? Tell me in the comments.
That the city of Kharkiv, the second largest city in Ukraine, about 1.4 million people, was one of Russia's targets. They also said this little town down here called Kherson is the other target. So we said, why would those be the two? This is the port city that empties on to the Black Sea, controls all of this key economic waterway that Putin, if he held this, would be able to squeeze Ukraine in a way that he could essentially economically strangle the country. So if they attack here and if they attack here, the other thing we just heard was explosions in a town called Dnipro, which is right here. So if you draw a line here from Kharkiv to Dnipro, that would be the only thing that the Russian army would have to take. And then this waterway, the Dnieper River, forms a natural boundary. So now Putin could carve off essentially 1/3 of eastern Ukraine and be able to control the river and all of the exports that go down the river into the Black Sea. All of their domestic gas production is here, and this is one of the richest agricultural areas in the world. So if Putin's looking for a prize, Kharkiv, Dnipro, all the way down to Kherson as the forces come up from Odessa, and he owns this part of it. Whether he goes after Kyiv itself, we'll wait and see. Only has about 30,000 troops up here to the north. That's a city of almost 4 million people if you take in the suburbs. So that.
Okay, so going off of what he's saying, let me check the comments real quick. Those are airliners. Not really, no, because we just, if you were here just a second ago, if you look at an Antonov 26, let's take a look at that plane. That's an Antonov 26. If we go to the airport that I was at just a second ago, these are Antonov 26s, and they have roundels on the wings. And I haven't seen an airline put roundels on the wings of their aircraft. I've only seen militaries do that, and the day that an airline begins to put roundels on the wings of their aircraft, like they're operating for some kind of government, that'll be the day I'm shocked, because I haven't seen that yet, and I haven't seen an airline fly aircraft that are gray. Alright, so those two things considered, no, those are definitely military transports, and especially since they're Antonov 26s. And let's go even further, and let's pull up Antonov 26 users. No, we're going to type in Antonov 26 because it'll tell us who owns them. Civilian and military transport aircraft, and that's in the Serbian Air Force, and that one's gray. And if we can find a picture of a Ukrainian Air Force Antonov, I'm pretty sure it'll be gray as well. This one's a UN Ukrainian Antonov 26 in the white UN livery. This one's a Russian Antonov 26, very gray. Looks much like the other one. Let's go try and find the Oh, damn, come on. Let me find a good picture. Let me just type in Ukrainian and 26. Let's look at a picture of them. Images. All right. This one is a museum piece. But if you look at the wings, there's little roundels right there, okay? It's gold and it's blue. And if you look at the Google Maps picture, you can see that there's a roundel on the wings in the exact same spot. And if I could get a little picture down there somewhere, I'm very sure those would just be Antonov 26s. Maybe right there. Nope, these are just some dudes chilling, I guess. But yeah, those are not civilian. On top of that, I don't really know why the hell you would think those are civilian. Because number one, usually you put civilian aircraft where civilians can board. And where the hell would they board from there? Are you saying they drive a bus across the one of the only 2 active runways at this airport to load people onto these planes? No, that doesn't make any sense. And why the hell would you have commuter planes, which are the most frequent flying airplanes in the most unusable area of the airport? That doesn't make any sense. Like, that would just be stupid. If you look at the rest of the airport, you can see that there's a whole bunch of other smaller commuter planes, but they're actually in places that are close to the gates, instead of being on the other side of the airfield, where it appears that there's nothing but old military aircraft sitting around. So those are obviously transport aircraft. No, no, those are all military aircraft, man. So what else do we have? So the guy on ABC, I'll probably just click back on that and watch a little bit more of that since it's live. But he pretty much said the same thing I said, is that the Dnieper River is going to be a bit of a strategic challenge for the Ukrainians to overcome. It looks like they're going to take over this little town down here called Kherson. Is this even a port? Let me look at that real quick. Let's see if we can see any kind of port activity. It looks like, yeah, it looks like a port. They've got a lot of ships, kind of like the Mississippi River has the canal. Well, not the canal barges, the barges. It looks like they have a lot of that as well. So yes, this looks like it'd be an important. It looks like the Ukrainian version of New Orleans. That's a very good way to put it. And if they control that, they control the rest of the river, and then from there they take Kharkiv, which he said had 1.4 million people in it. And if we assume that is true, then this will probably be one of the largest humanitarian crises in European history, in recent European history at least, as all these people flow out of Kharkiv and the Russian wave that will be coming for that city, and they start spreading out across the rest of Europe as other countries try and take the refugees. That'll be a pretty rough one, and we'll probably see a whole bunch of stuff. Because what always happens with the refugees, it doesn't really matter who they are, and, recently everyone's been trying to make it out as a white people thing against brown people, from like Syria or whatever. But whenever there's refugees, people end up hating refugees, no matter where they come from. And so the Ukrainians will become this group of hated people in most of Europe within the next year or two. And people will be talking about, we have to get the Ukrainians out of here. They brought crime and all that sort of stuff. And they're fine people. They're great people. I know some, and they're wonderful people. I like them. But sadly, that's always what happens to people who become refugees, is that they become disliked by the places they've gone to. So, really honestly though, Russia is not looking for a prize, and they're not going to take any land, from what I assume. The whole reason they took Sevastopol in 2014 was that they were afraid that their basing rights for the Russian Navy were going to be stripped in light of a pro-EU government being elected in Ukraine, and they were scared that if they allied with the EU, they would say, well, we have a conflict of interest having Russian ships in our Ukrainian port, so they were scared they were going to kick them out of the only warm water port. And the whole reason that's important is because St. Petersburg is not a warm water port. It actually freezes over in the winter, so if you base your entire navy out of that port, for most of the year they can't operate because the port's frozen over. So what they rely on is Sevastopol to operate in the summer. Well, the winter, I'm sorry, correction. And so they were scared of that. So when this little rebellion happened, which was probably mostly helped and run by Russia, they sent out an armored brigade, a couple of them, I think there was about 3, and they spread out across Crimea. They claimed it. The Crimean state became an independent state for something like 23 hours. They'd applied for Russian statehood, and then wada bing, wada bam, it became a Russian state. They built a little bridge. Putin drove across this bridge in like 2018 or 2019, which I guess to the rest of the world, it kind of signified that, oh, look, it's actually part of Russia now. And so that's why they took that. But he has no reason to take the rest of this. It's Russian speaking, yes. But are there also people there who would probably resist and cause a lot of problems? Yes, kind of like Chechnya. I mean, like they've quelled Chechnya, which is down here, a good bit, like a big bit. But I don't think that they're going to try and like just say we're going to take this land, because I don't really think that would work. That's me though. They might, you know. That I can't tell you what politicians are thinking. I can just tell you what I'm going to assume happens, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think what they're going to do is they're going to invade Ukraine. They're going to overthrow the current government. They're going to install a quote-unquote democratically elected government. And it's going to be pro-Russian. It's not going to have any wishes to join the EU. They're going to maintain this little line of buffer states right here, Ukraine and Belarus, that will keep them mostly divided from the rest of Europe that's in NATO. And they will try and strip down the Ukrainian military as much as possible and make Ukraine pretty much a docile country. That's going to be their end goal to this whole thing. And if they succeed, then you're pretty much kind of looking at like a little, I guess, revival of the Soviet Union, because they'll be trying to maintain their grip over what the Soviet Union controlled. I'm not talking about the Warsaw Pact countries over here, you know, like Poland and Czechoslovakia, which is now the Czech Republic, or whatever the hell that is, and Slovakia. I'm not talking about those. I'm just talking about this little strip here of these Baltic countries, which you will never get control of because those have become too, like, closely connected to the West. I mean, like, America has soldiers there in Estonia, I think almost all the time, or all year. So that's never going to be an option. But with Belarus already being Russia's bitch, and Ukraine, unfortunately, probably soon to become Russia's bitch, because we won't do anything to stop that. It'll probably look a lot like the former Soviet Union. So let's watch a little bit more of this and see what's going on with that.
That's a tough thing. But we do know that what Mr. Putin wants is to teach the Ukrainian government a lesson, and if he can, to bring them down and create a puppet government in Kiev.
And tonight we've heard the sound of explosions in Ukraine. Help lay this out for us. What could a military operation look like? What does it include? Attacks on the ground, missiles in the air? What would this actually look like?
Yeah, we don't know, but what we do know is the Russian playbook. So the first thing that you do in a major invasion like this, where you are attacking a country with very capable surface-to-air missile systems, air defense systems, you would send in cruise missiles and surface-to-surface missiles in all those places where they had missiles that could take down your airplanes. Once the skies are clear, then they'll launch more surface-to-surface missiles that are very accurate, could go after critical infrastructure, power plants, things like that, equipment areas, military command and control. Now that you have the skies clear and you have initial air defense taken out, now you can bring in your bombers, you bring in your attack aircrafts, and you pound the Ukrainian army from the air with no ability to defend themselves. At some point, given all the array of military ground forces we see here, Mr. Putin will come in to Ukraine in some way with some intent. Again, don't know if he wants to go after Kyiv and bring down the government here, or whether he wants to carve off this eastern part of the country. Remember that this is the rebel-held area of Donbass, but this is not all of the Donbass. All of the Donbass goes way out here. The rebel-held area is only about a third of the Donbass. So if he said, I need to go in and retake the Donbass, he's got some work to do in here. But again, a line from Kharkiv to Dnipro down to Kherson would give him that 1/3 of the country, and maybe that's enough.
And Russia seems to have struck first here. So how can Ukraine respond? Are they prepared militarily to respond to a Russian invasion?
They are much improved. The U.S. and NATO countries have been working with them to improve their military since they were whipped in 2014 by the Russians in the Crimea and in the Donbass. So they've gotten better. The problem is that the Russian military has also gotten much better. Over the last 15 years or so, Mr. Putin has put a lot of money into improving the Russian military in a way that makes them a very, very capable military, once again, in sort of reflecting that past glory of the Cold War. That means
So, pretty much what the guy's saying is that the Ukrainians and the Russians have both had large improvements. The Russians, though, much larger improvements than the Ukrainians to their equipment. And what that means for the Ukrainians is that they'll be facing an uphill battle. And so what I was talking about in my previous stream before I ended it to start this one that talks entirely about Russia invading Ukraine is that down here in Georgia, if we look at this, this is the country of Georgia. It's kind of shaped like a nose-ish. I mean, like, you know, depending on what you know as a nose. But back in 2008, 2009, the Russians invaded Georgia. And when they did, they created these little states. One of them's called South Ossetia. I don't know which one is. But one of them's called South Ossetia, and the other one's like called Abkhazan or something like that. But what my point is in pointing that out is that he didn't invade Georgia and like completely, you know, like castrate the thing is what I'm kind of trying to say. He didn't actually just like castrate the thing. He went in and he kind of just started to carve up the country. And I think that's what he's going to do with Donetsk and Luhansk. The guy said he's probably going to try and take back the rest of the area down here. And I may believe that that's true. He may try and set up, force the hand of the Ukrainians to recognize these two little countries down here as independent republics, kind of like how South Ossetia is an independent republic. And then on top of that, because Georgia was not very important, so he didn't like just overthrow the government and everything down there. But Ukraine is critically important. He will probably overthrow the government and install a puppet one, because that just makes the most sense. Oh yeah. Hey, welcome. What's up, Jake? Yep, it's going on. It's going on for real. Right now, there's been explosions in Ukraine about an hour or an hour and a half ago in Kiev, Kharkiv, and multiple other places in Ukraine, Kherson, and this city over here called Lviv. And at the moment, the Russians are launching cruise missiles. Nothing much else is known at the moment. We don't know if they're actually starting to just move the army into Ukraine. We know good and well that they didn't launch any bombs or missiles from planes, because the Ukrainians most likely would have shot those down. So it's nothing but cruise missiles at the moment. But they are being attacked, and the situation is currently ongoing. So this is something that will land in the history books in like 50 years, 60 years or so. I'm just running the stream right now trying to talk about it. Get up, lads. Thank you so much. Thank you. And I'm just talking about it right now, seeing if anyone wants to listen, talk, you know, or anything like that. Let's see how things are going analytically. Oh, that's a lot of views. Wow. That's a lot of views. The stream's gotten a decent bit of views according to that. But anyways, going back to this, because I don't want to sit here and talk about the views. Kharkiv is known in Ukraine for having a lot of its industrial capacity. So you're talking about your tank repairs and stuff like that. And they have most of that. So, I mean, like, most likely Kharkiv has been hit by a lot of cruise missiles. You're looking at least destroying the tractor factory, which repairs the tanks. That's probably happened for sure. And a couple of other things, but I'm not really knowledgeable on what is in Kharkiv rather than the tank repair facility. So I can't really say what they've probably hit, but they've certainly hit that. That's for sure. I was talking earlier about there was missiles that were blown up in Kiev at the airports. One at this international airport here, the Sikorsky, that's neat. That's like the helicopter company here in the United States. Probably the guy was from there, but and then we have this international airport, and there are military transport aircraft all along this runway here, and also, well, not on the runway, on the tarmac. And then there's also a decent amount, but not as many, over here at this international airport. And what I'm assuming is that these missiles were hitting transport wings, so that way, if, for example, Russia was to take control of the Dnieper River, or try and like choke them out on the Dnieper River, like by blowing up bridges and stuff. For example, where's a nice bridge? Right here. Like if they blew up all the bridges in Kiev, they would be in a tough spot, because you couldn't transport trucks over the river for the next few days because you'd have to construct bridges. And so what Ukraine would have to rely on is this really, really weak air force they have in terms of transport aircraft, because they only have like 30 transport aircraft, and most of them are small. Most of them are Antonov 26s. And so they would have to try and supply pretty much everything over here with aircraft, and 30 of them. And that would be nearly impossible. And so they probably wiped that out entirely at this point. Most of the transport aircraft were taken out before they even transported anything in this war. And so I think that the next thing that's going to be targeted in Ukraine is going to be the bridges. That's me. I might be wrong. But that's what I'm assuming at this point. Let's see what we got in the chat. Anyone got anything to add? Anyone got anything to add? I would be more than happy to hear it. Entirely at this point. Most of let's see, what else can we talk about with the invasion of Ukraine? I don't really think I have much of anything else. I mean, like they said the Dnipro, or however that's pronounced, was hit as well by missiles. And I'm just saying, I don't know of any strategic targets in this city, but I'm not familiar with it. But it sounds a lot like they were going for the bridges and the McDonald's, because the McDonald's is a very rare sight here in Ukraine. You see that? It's such a special site. It's got like its own little square. Yeah, it's in its own square. I'm just kidding about the McDonald's. They went for the bridges, probably for sure. But I might be wrong. You know, I'm not saying I'm right on everything. I might be wrong. But that would make the most sense to me, because if you wipe out the bridges, you wipe out ground transport across half of Ukraine, across this whole entire area. This river's huge. It's wide. I mean, look at this. This is a Dnieper River. Look at how wide this thing is. It's like 5 miles across. This is a lake. I think it's because it's got a dam down here. Duh. I mean, like, no river is ever that wide naturally. But all these oh, that would be something. That would be something the Russians would go for. The Russians might target dams. Because if they're targeting power plants, a dam's a power plant. And so obviously, that will probably be a target. And so you'll probably see these little reservoirs here just empty out. And you'll probably see a whole bunch of places flooded. But that's collateral. That's considered collateral in war. You know, people getting killed by flooding from a dam exploding. But yeah, that'll be nuts. I wonder how much power that would knock out if all these dams got destroyed at the exact same time. Probably a lot, honestly. Not all of it. Not like the majority of it even. But it would be like around, I assume, 25% of the power grid would be knocked out if they hit all the dams and they became inoperable. So that would be a large problem. I mean, like, what if they started knocking all these cities into absolute darkness? That would probably be the worst thing that could happen for Ukraine over the next day, is if all of their cities just started to get their power knocked out. That would be the worst. Yeah, it would. Jake has said, I don't know why I'm reading it out to you, Jake. I think you're the only person watching right now. But yes, it would cripple the hydroelectric and cut the water supplies. That is for sure. You know what? What time is it over there, Jake? What time is it over there, Jacob? Because is it like nighttime for you? Because it's like 11:30 for me. And if it's like morning for you, I'll probably be on for like another 20 to 30 minutes. Maybe you could hop on the call, hop on a Discord call, and we could talk about it on stream if you want. This is your time, man. You're gonna be a star, dude. There's like, it's just you and me, man. We're gonna be stars, man. We're gonna be watching our own video. $5:30 a.m. All right. If you want to join a call, let me know, and I'll go throw up Discord, and I'll add you to this call. Oh, let's go! All right, join the call. Join the call. This is gonna be fun. All right, let's see here. Hello?
Yo.
Yo! All right, welcome to the Situation Room. I'm a War Thunder player and an amateur historian, and so we're going to talk about what the hell's going on, dude.
I'm not home, by the way, so I'm on my phone.
Oh, that's fine, dude. That's fine. So, what do you think about what's going on right now, man?
What do I think?
Yeah.
Well, my amateur point of view is all shit's kicking off.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. That's pretty accurate
It's
as
all,
far as I know.
it's all gone to pot. Yeah, I don't know. You know, it's going to go down the Swanee. I do think that there will be a major conflict
Oh yeah.
that will
Yeah.
stem from this. I don't think this is going to be over in a weekend.
I don't know if it'll. I don't know, me personally. I don't think this will extend outside of Ukraine, because the United States keeps on making it clear that we're not going to involve ourselves militarily. So I'm not really sure what will happen with that, but you know, that can always change. Something can
I just
happen.
mean between Ukraine and Russia. I think it's going to be a big boy, not
Oh
a
yeah,
couple
that's
little
what
skirmishes.
that's what I was saying a little bit earlier. I
Yeah.
was saying maybe it won't just be like a quick invasion of Iraq thing where it's like a week or two and then it's over. This thing is going to probably last a while. If the
Yeah.
Russians play their cards, like down the middle of the road. But if they play them really well, I think they could actually probably get this whole entire war done in like maybe a month. You know, if you look at it, like, you know, they knock out the dams, they knock out the bridges, they've already knocked out the air transports, so they've almost knocked out everything logistically at that point. The Ukrainian army would be done for, because they just wouldn't be able to get the supplies to fight on, and then the Ukrainian.
Yeah. Because geographically, I mean, they hold, you know, like 40% of Ukraine's borders anyway, which means that supply line's crippled too.
That's true. That's true. Let's see what the chat's got to say. Open up your cord. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you.
I can't do both at the same time. I can't be on YouTube and here because I'm on my phone.
That's fine, man. You're a celebrity, man. That's fine. You don't have to worry about that. So they said that Dnipro got hit. I know you were watching this while I was talking about that. But do we know of anything that would be important that could be hit in Dnipro? Because I don't know of anything rarer than bridges that could be hit here. Well, this is a large industrial facility, though.
Not really. I'm whipping open Google Maps, so...
I just don't know.
Oh, no, I wasn't going to say anything important. Carry on, mate.
I just don't know anything about Ukraine's infrastructure or how anything's laid out to know what I'm really looking at. Because I look at all these apartment blocks and factories, and I'm like, which one's the important one? Because they have so many factories, it's hard to tell which one's which.
If that dam gets done in, the amount, because a lot of that land in Dnipro looks like reclaimed land, you know. That could be seriously troublesome.
This one down here that's like right in the middle of the city.
I can't see YouTube, but the one north, like quite far north.
And it's like they got the massive reservoir on it.
Yeah,
And it's near a
like,
town called Kamyanske.
yeah,
Yes, yes, I see the one you're talking about.
everything downstream from that would be severely affected.
Dude, everything downstream would be washed away, man. That would be rough. Honestly, speaking of that, I don't think they would do that because
No,
the amount of
because
civilian casualties would be so
yeah,
atrocious that it would require an international response.
and if they do want to use this land, if they're doing a full on, invasion, uh, it would be pretty stupid to damage something that you're then going to want to use.
That's true. That's true. Maybe that'll tell us what the Russians' intentions are, is what they're destroying tomorrow. Because if they're hitting stuff like power plants and stuff, that may tell us that they're not planning on staying around. They're just planning on like overthrowing the government.
Yeah,
Which I believe the British government was the one that started spearheading that idea, and they said that they were just doing this to install a puppet government. And by the way,
yeah,
look at this giant factory that is here in Kamyanske near the hydroelectric dam. This thing is huge. This thing is like a mile long and a mile wide, and it just looks dirty.
Oh my god, you know about that like big copper coloured block with all the smoke coming off it?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. This thing is huge.
Jesus Christ.
A Dnieper metallurgical plant named after F.E. Dzerzhinsky. It's got a 2.5-star rating on Google. Let's check out the reviews. It's got a 1-star from Mikhail Krabis. He said the most final place, and they work in the leadership, only non-humans. They keep the car unloading for 6 hours. You always have to wait for some kind of chmoshnik to give the command to unload. Do not bring cargo here. Piggy attitude towards third-party drivers. Another one says, "What can I say? It is advisable to live and be away from him. As a place of work, let its employees evaluate it, although there is nothing to evaluate, both with the salary problems and with the conditions, and as a resident, everything is very sad." Another one, and this will be the last one I read. This will be the last one. Translated by Google. Been here in the summer. The horror is utter. The equipment is old in the 70s, but also the city is being bullied. Where does environmental safety look? Dude, these Ukrainians are stand-up people. I love the way they write this stuff, and it's probably like messed up from Google Translate, but that's hilarious. You know what? Let's go across the border to where the Russians are. Where the Russians are, to Rostov on Don.
Are they in Belarus at the moment?
Yes. I don't know if they're doing anything from there at the moment because no one's really made that clear. From everything I've been watching and reading. But yes, they are there. And they also say they're in Moldova.
Huh.
I don't know how they got to Moldova because they'd have to fly over Romania or Ukraine to put people in there.
Through the Black Sea.
Yes, but they still have to fly over Ukraine or Romania to get to Moldova.
Like, I mean, couldn't they go through the coast?
No,
through the Black Sea.
Because Moldova's landlocked. And Ukraine looks like it controls.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know how they got troops in Moldova, but that's interesting.
Oh, /TP.
It's just /TP. 10,000 Russian troops /Moldova.
You said missiles hit Kiev, right?
Yes.
Were they not likely fired from Belarus?
I'm not sure.
Or maybe this Klinsky area, the southernmost part of Russia, just north of Kiev.
Like around Kursk?
You know, there's the little nose of Russia that sticks between Belarus and Kiev.
Yes, yes, I see it now.
Like that. Probably by there.
Yeah, maybe there. Maybe there.
Oh, this all kicking off. I would say I can't believe it, but I can.
Yeah, I mean, the news has been hyping it up for so long now. Over here, it's been since November, late November.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, here too.
like, you know, it's almost at this point, like, everyone was kind of just waiting for it to happen. We're getting kind of disappointed that it hadn't happened yet. Because, like, they were hyping it up so much, it was almost like FIFA or the Super Bowl. It's like, it's got to happen now. You know, you can't just back out.
Yeah.
Dude, pretty much the news sat there and kept on saying no balls until Putin was finally like, okay, fuck it, I'm gonna no ball it, and just, like, started bombing to Ukraine.
Because I'm not sure what your lot have said, but I think the UK have announced that if Russia go into any UN countries, we're going to declare war.
I don't know what the American response is.
Not word for word, but effectively, there will be big actions taken if they go into any UN countries, I thought.
Well, so far, Biden's only come out and said that there would be a heavy price for Russia to pay, and then he goes into talking about nothing but sanctions. So he keeps on making it clear that almost no matter what happens, the only thing that will come of it is heavy economic sanctions against Russia. So as far as America's going, it's not going well. Only one person is watching. Wow, that's sad. It's probably me because I'm having to watch my own stream to read the comments. So let's see. I'll probably be on here another 20 minutes, and then I'm gonna roll off because it'll be like 12 o'clock at night over here.
Yeah.
But let's look at Britain. Let's look at the targets that they could hit in Britain. Let's look at Cardiff.
There's no strategic. The only problem with Cardiff is the power plant on the other side of the Severn.
Up near Weston Supermare?
Yeah, near Weston, kind of. It doesn't matter. The UK is so small, though. Get effect, but yeah, pretty much.
Like, England's like the size of Alabama, I believe, not including Wales and Scotland.
Yeah.
Well, obviously it's not including Wales and Scotland. I said England. I'm a retard, man. But let me go back to looking at Ukraine just a little bit more. I got called out earlier, man. I was playing War Thunder, so that way I could just talk about what was going on while playing War Thunder. And someone said I was like clickbaiting. Although I talked about Russia and Ukraine, so then I flipped over here to a map, and I've been on it ever since. I didn't want people to think I was clickbaiting or anything, but apparently they were, so I didn't want to like make them think that. But let's see. There's not really much to talk about in Ukraine. It's just like a big country with like a few major cities, and that's it. I mean, there's not much in it. It's like
My camera's not on right now, is it?
I don't think so. No. I mean, like,
okay.
Oh, it's not.
Like,
no.
Okay, good. I was like, oh god, I've been sat here fucking inches from my screen.
Crimea. Let's look at Crimea. Dude, what's up with this brown pool here? Like, what is this? A salt farm? What's up with this ultra blue lake? Dude, the Russians have been testing out new like drug supplements for their Olympic athletes in these lakes. Like they.
Where's this?
This is
god,
like,
I see what you're on about.
Yeah, this is like the border right in between.
Krasny. Is it Krasny Lake you're looking at?
Krasny Lake. Yes, it's the super blue one. It's a salt farm. Yeah, it's a salt farm because there's a whole bunch of salt at the bottom.
Yeah.
Dude, just imagine though if that was the drugs that they use for Russian athletes. Like the fish just got like 6-pack abs and giant pecs. You know, like they're just like fucking ripped. Like they just like they climb out of the water and they get like a perfect 10 in skiing. A weightlifting champion. Dude, man, if they're juicing the Russian soldiers like they're juicing the Russian athletes and the Olympics, the Ukrainians have no chance. That's a given, man, because the freaking Russians are going to be like doing backflips and somersaults, and they're still going to land their shots. And the Ukrainians are just average Joes, just like the American kids who are wanting their college paid for by joining the military. And they're going to be so scared of these like drugged out super soldiers that the Russians probably have. That's a whole bunch of fake shit, though. I'm just saying that. Oh,
yeah, no, obviously.
I'm saying that to get some replies, and look at this. We got a reply from Knee3Gan. We'll call you Gan. LOL. I'm in Canada. Well, that's good for you, bud. You're about as far away from the action as me because I'm from the United States. I'll let you guess which state. You probably can't tell from my accent. Probably can, but if you can, congratulations. You win a
Kiss
shit.
on the cheek.
Yes, a kiss on the cheek, and I'll tuck you into bed. If you can guess where I'm from out of all 50 well, the lower 48. We'll remove Alaska and Hawaii because that's just impossible. But if you can guess where I am from the lower 48, then I will tuck you into bed and kiss you goodnight right on the cheek. Promise. You know, what if... You know what? Russia is just so powerful and so strong with all this land. I bet you that all this land really helps them out. It doesn't. I'm just saying the stupid shit that high schoolers say. Because there would always be this stupid white girl in every single class. She would walk up to the map, like at the end of the school year, and there would be nothing to do. And I'll put it on this map so that way it's even better. And she would look at this map, and she'd go, "Wow, Russia is so big. It must be so powerful." And it's like, no. It's like, no, not at all. It's got like the same... Russia has the same population as Bangladesh. And look how small Bangladesh is. It's like nothing. And so it's
population
like...
density, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like all of the population is centered like right here. And then everything else is empty.
Yeah, West Russia has about fucking 5 people living in it. Or East Russia, sorry.
Yeah, like all of them live... There's one city down here somewhere. Let me find it. It's called Vladivostok. Yeah, right here. Vladivostok. That's where most of them live. They don't live in the western side of Russia. They live here in this city, which looks like a shithole. Everywhere in Russia looks like a shithole, dude. Like from the air. It just looks ugly.
Like, your house is first on the fucking targeting list.
Yeah, that's true.
You're
Dude,
gonna get fucking nuked.
Dude, they just look at it and they're like, yep, that's definitely a power plant or something. But I'm in the bottom floor of it, so I'm pretty safe from most everything.
Oh, yeah. If a nuke hit the roof, you'd be fine.
Yeah, it'd take about an hour for the shockwave to get down here. And then finally, it would just be like, it'd be nothing. I'd just feel a little tremor and the glass would shake a little bit, but that'd be it. Kharkiv State Aircraft. Oh, there's an aircraft manufacturing company here. What do they produce? Okay, they got a MiG-15. They've got a Flying Dick. And they have a Su-6. Do they have anything else? Do they actually produce anything modern that's on the tarmac? Okay, there's some more Antonov 26s. Those aren't the military ones because those are white. I don't see anything else. That is a short runway, dude. That is so damn short. It's like,
It is a short runway.
it's like less than a mile. What is this over here? This is like a mall. Jesus! This is a mall. That's a big mall for like somewhere like this. What's it got in it? Oh. It's got knickknacks, shoes, pictures, comfort classic. It's got a man who looks somewhat unsatisfied with his life, drinking a cup of coffee in a very weird way. It's got a woman making coffee. By the way, if you just joined, we are talking about Ukraine. We are. It's just that I'm goofing off right now. We're talking about this big ass mall that's in Kharkiv. That'll probably become a really cool little battlefield when the Russians move into the city. Is you'll probably see. Oh my gosh, dude. Oh my god, it's going to be interchange. It's going to be interchange from Tarkov, but for real, it's going to look exactly the same.
It is going to be IRL Tarkov.
Yes, it will be because it's based on that area. Oh my lord. I didn't think about that until now. You know what? It would be a perfect idea. Although you can't because you're on your phone, you're probably not at your house. But if we could play Tarkov, like tomorrow, and talk about the invasion of Ukraine, and I could get like 3 more viewers. Is U.S. going to help Ukraine? No, we're not. The answer to that is very simple because Biden keeps on coming out and he says that we're only going to impose sanctions. So if you mean like help in any way, yes. But if you mean help in a way that's meaningful, no.
There will be no military intervention.
Yes, there will be no military intervention from the United States as the everything is currently going. There will only be sanctions. And most of those sanctions have already been implemented, like yesterday or the day before, the largest ones, like the cancellation of the pipeline, the Nord Stream pipeline from Germany to Russia, that was canceled. That was like one of the largest ones. So pretty much we've already lost our steam to do anything against Russia, because everything else we can do now is kind of minor. And so at this point, we're just kind of seeing what will unfold in Ukraine.
To answer your question, by the way, I'm not even in Wales at the moment, so
Where are you?
just the south of England.
South of England. Wow.
I'm in Poole.
Yeah, you're in Poole. At least that's not as bad as Bournemouth. I stayed in Bournemouth. That place was rough.
Bournemouth is a shithole.
Yeah, I wish I hadn't gone to Bournemouth, man. I didn't know that until I got there.
Pool's quite nice, but Bournemouth is.
So it's kind of like the more high end area.
I don't know. I don't fucking live here, but it looks nice. As compared to Bournemouth, I hated Bournemouth. I was there 2 days ago. I thought it was just a bit miserable. The beachfront was really nice, but the town's pretty shit.
Dude, imagine me, who's hardly ever lived in Britain, and that was like that was like the third place I saw on my first trip over there was that place. It was not a good impression. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. Also, is that where you were when you went to the tank museum?
Yes. So we drove out of Bournemouth, and we drove out there to Bovington, and then we went to the tank museum, and that was years ago. That was like 2018 or so.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Speaking of
Dave, did you see the Iraqi T-62 that they have like out in the field?
I think I did, yeah.
With it's so cool with all the writing on it. Because I saw two. Oh, go on. Sorry.
Oh no. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, as we were driving out, like on the way back to Poole, about 10 minutes away from the tank museum, there were two Challenger 2 like practice vehicles. So it's just a Challenger 2, but with the turret ring, but without the actual barrel.
Mm-hmm.
Driving on the road next to us, doing it, like practicing.
Dude, that is so cool.
They drove past us, and it was the loudest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Dude, you know what?
Unbelievably loud.
You know what, speaking of which, is like a reenactor, I would kill for this Warhorse replica of a Mark IV. Because it's just like a steel frame with the Mark IV like exterior. And so it drives like a go-kart kind of, but very slowly. And I would love to have one of those, because I bet you it'd be really cheap and easy to maintain. Any comments? We aren't going into war, or at least not yet. Yes, that would be true. At the moment, we're not going to war. So you don't have to worry. All the Americans don't really have to worry. This is kind of like that war that happened in between Azerbaijan and Armenia, where
we're just gonna watch.
Yeah, we're just gonna watch. We're on spectator mode right now. Nothing is going to happen with us,
unless allegedly they step foot in a UN country, in which case we get involved. In which case the rest of the UN gets involved.
And I'm just saying this. I'm just saying this. There's been a trend in both world wars that an Austrian has led to both of them. In one way or another. Either they've been shot or they're running something. So as long as the Austrians don't get involved on our side, we'll be fine. Maybe they ought to go join the Russian side. Maybe they'll help them out with a bit of bad luck. You know what? That's what we ought to do, man. We ought to start a brand new business where we just export Austrians to countries we really need to have fucked over right now, and just have them sent over. Like, just get random Jans Yichthofen who lives in Hodabrunn and be like, okay, it's time for you to go to Iraq, or send them to Iran, and the whole country just falls apart. It just goes into civil war. The arrival of an Austrian is just the end of life.
Just send a crate of M16s to a bunch of teenagers like the CIA used to do.
Dude, better yet, just send a boatload of crack to somewhere, like the inner cities. That works really well.
A boatload of crack to somewhere like New York.
Dude, another thing is we better make sure that we have something like 9,000 troops in Ukraine right now. The U.S. does, but they're in advisory roles. They're not in combatant positions. But if we
Yeah.
ever wanted to get in a combatant position, I believe we should send over any American cops, because they'll shoot first and ask questions later. There might be a lot of civilian casualties, but I guarantee you that the Russians will be good as dead by the end of it. So I've got about 5 more minutes, and then I'll go because I'm getting very tired. And I started the
All right,
stream.
man.
I started the stream tonight with the aim of getting 100 subs. I don't think I'm gonna get close to that. I don't even think I've gotten any subs from this. But then I got the news in the middle of my Train Sim World live stream, which I put private because it didn't really match what was going on with the channel, and also this one restarted, so that way I could cover this stuff. But it was a good stream, but it doesn't match the channel there. I forgot where I was going with that. Oh yeah, I was supposed to be getting 100 subs. I was supposed to be getting 100 subs. I was going to keep streaming until I did, but then this happened. I think everyone's gotten on here, thought I was clickbaity or didn't like what I was saying and left and hasn't really subscribed, which is kind of sad. And so I've got like 5 minutes until I'll probably hop off. But if anyone in the comments, oh yay, yay! Woo! You sub, thank you. Thank you. I owe you, Satan's panel. I owe you. Let's see.
What's his name?
Satan's panel. His name is Satan's panel. Are you the guy who's running Russia right now? Is that like your nickname?
What a bloke.
What a guy. What a guy. Let's see. Anielo the Africano said Putin wants peace. I would disagree, because currently he
Found
just
the
went to
Russian in
war.
chat.
Yeah, we just found the Russian plug. He's here, but hey, I'm just playing with you. I couldn't really say that. I mean, like that'd be like saying Hitler just wanted to love the Jews. It's kind of opposite of what's happening and what's happened. He's gone to war with Ukraine. He's declared a quote unquote military operation. And aren't you tired, Jacob, of people in the modern world these days acting like if they don't say the word war, it's not a war? Like,
It's a conflict, actually.
Yeah, like over here in America, like the big deal is, actually, it wasn't the Vietnam War, it was the Vietnam conflict. It's like, do you really think that matters to all the people who died? Like the 50,000 Americans who got killed over there? It was a war for them. It was a war for us, and so it doesn't really make any sense to call it a conflict. And this is a war. They're trying to call Russia is calling this a military operation. Yeah, that's what they're calling it. They're calling it a military operation. It's like, what? Is this like a military exercise? Are you saying that it's going to be that easy to beat the Ukrainians? That it's just a training exercise? I don't know, but that was silly. Putin wants yes. Didn't the obligations between Russia? Oh no, the message is gone. Why did it leave? Where'd it go? Huh. The message was retracted. Aw, you're retracting your messages. I was going to answer them. Oh well.
What did he say?
Well, I couldn't even read it. I started reading it, and then they just went into a black hole and disappeared. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I could read them on the live stream. I paused it. Then the obligations between Russia and Ukraine with regard to territorial integrity and the prohibition of the use of force are laid down in a number of multilateral or bilateral arguments to which Russia and Ukraine are signatories. Yes, that's the Minsk Agreement, and they signed it off, and it was supposed to lay out all that stuff, but the Russians appear to have violated it recently. And I say appeared. It's not really appeared. It's rather obvious. But I like to say appeared because it sounds very polite and nice. The leader of Ukraine is hot. I hate that I said that in the statement. Didn't state it as he said it. But I don't really know about that. I'm not gay like that. No homo. You know what I mean?
He's a handsome man.
He's a handsome man. Yeah, he's a handsome guy. I'll give him that. You know what's funny is that the current president, his name's Zelensky, he was actually a comedian before he became president, and he was the producer of a film company, and in this film company they ran a TV show called something like "It's your time, Mr. President," or something like that. And in the show, he was the president of Ukraine. And then he ended the show in 2019 and ran for president. And then he won the presidency of Ukraine and actually became the president. So that was a funny little story that I was reading a few days ago.
I bet he's wishing he hadn't done that now.
Dude, he's shitting his pants because the Russians are just going to execute him on spot when they find him. You know, he's probably going to do like the president of Afghanistan. He's just going to pack $100 million into briefcases and fly out of the country and say, "I did it for the good of Ukraine. Don't judge me, man. I did it for y'all." And everyone's just broken, poor, and like screwed over there. They're gonna be like, "Fuck you, dude." And he's gonna be living in like Switzerland or something. It's not gay if the person likes it. Well, I mean, yeah, but I don't really like it. So, you know, simple as. I don't swing that way. Look at this coal. Oh, that's a lot of coal. I mean, the ground's nothing but coal. Well, my time has come. I thank y'all all so much for watching. I've had a guest star, Jacob. He's one of my friends from Britain. Do you still run your YouTube channel?
No.
Ah, that's a bummer. I was gonna give you a plug and say make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to him too, to the 3 viewers I got. But yeah. So just make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, everyone, if you like what you heard. This probably won't be a common thing that I do, talking about the news. It's just that a war happened, and this is probably going to be one of the larger wars of this year. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm hoping for the improvement of production quality to ramp up in the next few years. Hopefully, China will go to war with Taiwan, and that'll be an interesting sight. But for now, this will be the biggest one of this year. And so I'd just like to thank y'all for watching. This won't be a common thing, though. I'd mostly do video game content like War Thunder and whatnot. But tonight was special. So I thank y'all all so much for watching.